Well, even President Trump has admitted it is a referendum on his presidency. Today, millions of Americans are heading to the polls for the midterm elections. They will determine how effectively the Trump Republican administration will be able to govern for the next 2 years of the president's mandate. Someone with a lot of insight, shall we say, into the workings of government and how the outcome could affect Canada-U.S. relations is the former U.S. ambassador to Canada, Bruce Heyman, and he joins us now. Ambassador, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
A busy schedule, especially today. You voted already, though.
I already voted, early voting, and along with 33 million or 35 million other Americans, and it's become a standard practice in a number of states
to vote in advance polls.
Exactly.
How are we looking at? What are we looking at for the outcome today? You said there'll be some indicators before the polls have even closed.
That's exactly right. So I would say if you go look at the lines around the country, and if the lines are very, very long, and if the lines have more women than men, and if the lines have a number of young people in those lines, I think if you're a Democrat, you'll be very happy.
And do Republicans have something to be optimistic about today? Do you think? Everybody's talking about this is going to be a bellwether for the president.
This is a balance. We are a country of Republicans and Democrats. From a Republican perspective, their pitch is, good economy. Things, jobs are plentiful, unemployment's low. That's their pitch. From a Democrat side is, hey, that's great, except we have health care issues. You have misogyny, racism, you have, hate speech coming out of the White House. That's not the way we should be governed. And I think Americans like to have a divided country in terms of politics. They like to have Democrats and Republicans represented, not divided in how we combat politics domestically, although we become more that way because of the president, I think. But Americans are used to having a House of Congress on one party and the president from another party.
It's really quite interesting. This has galvanized a lot of people, and you're seeing potentially some incredible, first openly gay governor, first openly lesbian veteran as a representative, first female first female African American governor. These are incredible, an incredible situation.
So let me tell you the story. There's this group called Run for Something, and this woman said, after the last election, there were friends of hers that started calling and saying, I'm running for office, what should I do? She said, I don't know, I'll figure it out. So she started this group right after the president won, and right after his inauguration, called Run for Something. She thought, maybe a few people sign up, I'll help them run for office. Nearly 20,000 people signed up to run for office, and we're finding women, gays, blacks, Hispanics, Muslims, everybody, Americans raising their hand and saying, I'm running for office, and I have a vision for how I want the country, and they're doing it across the country, as you said.
From a Canadian point of view, what can we expect after this midterm?
Well,
what would be good?
What do you think is the United States will still be next door.
You'll still be our friends, I hope.
We'll still be your friends. You'll still be #1 trading partner. But what we should hope for and expect is a check and balance to the president. Currently, the Republicans control everything. They control the presidency, the House, the Senate, most of the governorships, and a lot of the state reps. And so you should hope that there's more balance and there's a check to his vitriol. The language he's used against Canada, not unique to the kind of language he's used against so many other constituencies, but unfortunately, Canada, our best friend, our next-door neighbor, our greatest ally, the guy is hostile. The guy's out of control.
And your internal polling is showing optimism, reason for optimism for the Democrats, but nobody's trusting the polls anymore. Right?
Nobody's trusting the polls. Polls, if you go to a poll and you think the poll's going to tell you exactly how an election's going to happen, there are a lot of assumptions that go into polls. You take a small sample size, and then you say, here's what the turnout's going to be, and you come up with sets of probabilities. I would say after 2016, after Brexit, after the polls for Justin Trudeau, I think people would sit down and say, good indicator, thanks for the information, let's see who votes.
Ambassador, appreciate you coming out. I know you're catching a flight back to Chicago for a party, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully
it'll be a celebration. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, pleasure.
And City TV will have extensive coverage tonight. Our political specialist, Cynthia Mulligan, is heading to the U.S. to bring all the latest on the midterms tonight on City News. Let's head upstairs and look at traffic with Steph. Steph?